going live?
2, 1.
Okay. So excuse us for the interruption. We had some problem with the internet connection. So Avraham is a very, very powerful, like we say, Merkava means a chariot of understanding that being selfish in this reality is not very wise. So we learned about the two other things which are less relevant for this class is not being naive, which means naive, according to the teachings of Kabbalah, is a person who doesn't know that there is like forces in this reality that are not benevolent forces. You cannot be naive because some people, they are not necessarily have good intentions. That's how it is. Yeah. But being wise person, you know how to recognize that. You don't associate yourself with these kind of people. You don't act in their ways. So that means not to be naive. Like we say in Breaking Bad, you cannot bullshit the bullshitter, right? They know what's going on, but it doesn't mean that you have to be part of this kind of circles. And the fourth one is to ask questions. Why asking questions is important? Because questions are creating momentum. They're creating movement. If you are in point A and you want to go to point B, you want to ask yourself how you're going to get to point B. Well, you have to start awakening desire, and everything starts with questions. You may ask yourself in the morning, okay, how do I become a more efficient artist? Or how can I become a more efficient human being? Or how can I cultivate higher connection to source, etc.? You can always ask yourself questions. When you ask questions, you start to be in movement. Because when you're looking for the answer, you will have to be in certain momentum. So those are the codes that are very, very important for us to understand. Okay, so this is very important. Now, Isaac, on the other hand, is another son that we have in the story. But it's a code name. Isaac represents the left column. Why it's important? Because it's not about killing the left column. Don't take the story literally about slaughter, because even for me as a kid, I hated that story in the Bible. Like when he takes his son and he takes him to sacrifice.
They got them to slaughter his son.
Yeah. Now, sacrificing people in those days was not an uncommon thing, by the way. They were sacrificing people all the time. The culture that Abraham came from, Sumeria, were known for sacrificing human beings. So it's not like something which is unusual. However, we're not talking here about physical events. We're talking about not sacrificing our desire to receive, because we cannot sustain ourselves without desiring things. It's about binding. So we talk about the binding of Isaac. We binding the desire to receive in order to share. It's like you have a very powerful animal, but you're not taking away the power of the animal, but you're actually controlling it. The same thing with the left the column. It can be like very destructive force. That's why the fire can be very consuming if we don't know how to bind it. So the Abraham teaches us about the establishment of the energy of mercy, but we also need the judgment. But we are sweetening the judgment with mercy. That's why the whole point of this month of Scorpio, it's called Mar Cheshvan. Mar means bitter, but we are sweetening the bitterness with mercy. Because I know where you are right now in your life and your reality, you know that it's a very intense month. It can be like we can be very judgmental towards ourselves and towards others. We have different characteristics, but we have the potential to see things in a very judgmental way.
Yeah, now, it says that in the month of Scorpio we don't have the middle column. It's either good or either bad. There is no kind of balance.
Middle column.
There is no in the month of Scorpio, really. So either this or that. So we have to.
Longer does Scorpio?
2 more weeks. We just had the super moon, which is, I think, we still have the last day of the full moon.
Yeah, we had yesterday. Yeah.
And the full moon, interesting enough, was in Taurus. So the Taurus is the opposite of Scorpio. So for those who know a little bit of the astrology, if we tap to the energy of this full moon, we're not to eliminate that fire or that energy of the desire to receive of movement. It's how we can bind, because the Scorpio, the Taurus, are completely opposite from each other. The Scorpio is the one constantly needs to move, to change, to transform.
Make revolutions.
Revolutions and like some extreme stuff. And the Taurus is the one who likes like more the stability, the home, everything is like family, those things. So these two forces are very important. So it's an opportunity for us to really use these forces to create the momentum, the movement, the changes, but with stability. It's very important to have the stability.
When you say bind with a D, it's
bind, Akedah. Akedah is binding. So the binding is like you hold it together. It's like
grounded.
Control it.
Control.
It's
like
a control.
Tame it.
Exactly. It's tame it. Binding is like the same like taming. So the story of Isaac is not about the story of a father who took his son and went to kill him. It's not about that. The code is the binding of the left column by the right column. So how we can bind our desire to receive, so we can still want to receive, but for the sake of sharing. We're not here to eliminate your desire how much you want to receive, whether it's fame, it's success. You can be very successful and very famous, but if you use it for a positive purpose, you're really fulfilling your higher purpose as being created. It's not, oh, I just want to be quiet and I want people to know about me. You can be like that too. There's nothing wrong to really want great things because you want to make a positive impact on many people. There's nothing wrong in that. It depends for what purpose do you want that. Because a desire is always an outcome of your purpose.
Gandhi was very humble, but he still was out to help, to change his people's destiny. So
he was humble, but in spite of his humbleness, he realized that he needs to be a very public person.
Yeah.
You cannot. He realized that in order for me to bring transformation, you have to go up there. He was a lawyer, It had one. We watched the movie with Ben Kingsley a few weeks ago. How he had this one event in the train. He was kicked out of the train, and he actually woke up. He realized what's going on. And then he started to be a leader. He started to talk to people and to take actions. The same thing. Like I watched this beautiful video by Guru Singh from
Yoga West in LA.
Yoga West in LA. Amazing video. I also posted it on my wall. It's a guy that we met a couple times when we lived in LA.
He was always quiet,
very quiet,
yoga teacher,
plays music,
always peace.
Talks about peace, playing the guitar, yoga, doing some nice stuff.
Certainly.
You want some water?
No, good.
And then suddenly, something shifted in him after the elections. He's like, hey guys, the game is on. He's like, hey guys, what's going on?
He was fired.
He was all fire.
Was just screaming.
He completely transformed. Said, listen guys, what's going on here? You guys have to step up your game, because he knew, and I think we all know that there is a strengthening of the dark forces on the planet. But it's not for us, shouldn't cause us to hide and to be afraid. To the opposite. We have to step up our game. It's forcing us to really go out. It's like, okay, we have some work to do here. It takes you out of the comfort zone, which is very Scorpio energy. You cannot be in your comfort zone to be comfortable. It will kick you out.
Yeah, same what's happening in Dakota. People going, supporting, moving. I mean,
tribes are uniting. Indian tribes that maybe were not very peaceful towards each other, suddenly they're uniting.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So it forces people to take some action, but not to engage in a negative conversation, because we said the conversation creates the reality. It needs to be an empowering conversation. Like what's going on, we spoke about it many times in Mount Shasta, about water. It forces people to step up and say, listen guys, we have to do something. We have to use our power, resources, our unity, and to create the reality we desire. Because if we don't take action, the action will be taken for us, not necessarily towards our benefit.
Yeah.
So all these forces actually are here to awake our ability to be creators. Because if nothing happens, there is no friction, how can you generate light? It's like if you're an athlete, if you don't, train and create pressure on the body and on the muscles, how can you develop muscles and strength?
You cannot be comfortable to become a champion in that.
You cannot. There needs to be some kind of a pressure. So the pressure right now, this is what's going for that purpose, not to be afraid. To
grow.
People say, I'm gonna leave America. I'm gonna get out of America. So what kind of consciousness is that?
No, you cannot hide.
I mean, you can leave America, but it's really not why. I mean, you can. It's fine. There's nothing wrong in that.
It will follow you.
Yeah.
It will follow.
Well,
Exactly.
the owner of Cafe Gratitude, he used to say, when you're confronted with discomfort, lean towards it.
Embrace it.
Lean towards it, and then see, and then it will create this momentum for catalyst for change.
Do you guys want to maybe share some of the last week has been very transformational for everybody, especially in America. Anybody who wants to share some your own insights, positive, I would like to, preferably empowering, if you had any. Anybody wants to share something?
Especially like with the election, I thought it was amazing just watching how everybody was like, oh my God, shock and awe. And then, and now, I'm just looking on Facebook, everybody has like stepped up and they're like, now we have to fight for, you know, the truth, and we need to unite, and it just seems like people are seeing past, you know, the you know, what's on the outside, and like looking for something deeper. It just seems really obvious to me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very important realization. Anybody else? Well, if you want to think about it, that's fine. But let's continue. Thank you for sharing.
I think I have one thing
Yes.
on my mind when you're talking about the, like, well, you're showing the tree with the two pillars, and then you're talking about how one side's not bad and one side's not good, how they like strengthen each other. So it could be related somehow with the like internal shift that's taking place in everybody, and sort of a reflection in the world of politics and all that.
Yeah, Donald Trump is a Gemini, so it's like the two sides. You know, there's the left and the right. And remember, we're not worse. He's not worse than any of us. We all have reincarnations. Nobody's here for the first time. Surprise! You know, we've been on this planet before, and it's very easy to project. Say, oh, he's that, but it's not really what's going to make the difference. It's first of all we cannot recognize another person something we don't have in ourselves, or something we did not have in the past. So what we recognize the negative in this person is a reflection of us. So what we can do is actually accept that it's actually maybe used to be part of us, or it's part of us now. It's very easy to judge. But more so is how we can embrace that and also send them good energy.
In America also been created on Gemini month.
No, Cancer.
Oh, Cancer.
Cancer, yeah. Month of
So
Cancer.
what was New York?
Well, Lewis, the chai shop, just gave a talk about he's gonna run for Congress. But we were talking about the seventh generation, and he said, well, if you believe in incarnation, I mean, seventh generation is 5 grandchildren that you'll have. If you believe in incarnation, one of them will be you. So you'll be back to reality. What kind of reality on earth do you want to come back to? That was really powerful insight.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I know from Willow, she's a Gemini, and what she says is that Geminis, it looks like they change their mind a lot, but it's always, they will change their mind because they got new information. So they seek that information, and they got new information. It's like, oh, wait a minute, okay. So, and then they, you know, it's not like they're stuck on one idea and that's it.
Yeah.
When they receive new information and they apply it to their decision making, and that's why it looks like they're wishy-washy, but it's really about that.
And also, thank you. And also, the Torah was given on the month of Gemini.
Really?
The Torah was
Because
given on
it's
Gemini.
two tablets.
It's the two that are one.
That's the-
The Gemini is the two that are one. That's why we have the 2 tablets.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not here to do like astrological analysis of Donald Trump, but the energy of Gemini, if you understand it correctly, we know how to work with it. So
That's why he's a Messiah, the son of David.
well, he's not the Messiah, but he's actually the mark for us to awaken the Messiah within
Yeah.
us.
Right.
Because a Messiah is not a person. The Savior is not a person in Kabbalah.
He forced us to become who we really are supposed to become.
Exactly.
He forces that.
He's forcing, which is a wonderful thing. That's why we say that's why Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, she said this is the best elections ever. Because it forces you to stop looking outside.
It's sad. It finally makes people
And it's outside of
uncomfortable.
this
People
time.
marching
Yes, yeah.
and screaming, saying
Exactly.
no. Something is happening. I don't know what, but something is starting to happen.
It's happening.
Yeah,
Right?
It's on.
That's going
Guru
to
Singh
bring
said,
relief.
like Guru Singh said, the game is on.
Yeah,
You
it's
cannot
on.
hide anymore. You cannot. The game is really on. It's like, and he talks some profound wisdom, and is one of the things I really love about what he was saying is like, you were not born here to make a living. The fact that you are born is already that you earn your life here, because we're so much programmed. You are here to earn a living. What kind of slave mentality is that? You're here to earn a living. This is not what you are here for. So this awakening that you're not here to earn a living, nothing more to make money, but you're here to really to be creators in this reality.
Yeah.
It's huge. I never heard him speak like that. So all people are kind of awakening. So the more the merrier. So let's move to verse number 18 from VaYera. אמר לו ממרא דחרתי יומה דרמו לך כשדאי באתון דנורא והוא כפנה דאבד על עלמה דכתיב ויהי רעב בארץ וירד אברהם מצרימה והנון מלכין דרדפו באתרי הון ומחית יתהון וקודשא בריחו שזבינך מקולה ולה יחיל ברנש למעבד לך ביש. קום עבד פיקודה דמרח, אמר לו קודשא בריחו, ממרא, אנטי אהבת לי הייתה למגזר חייך, לית ענה מתגלה עלי אלא בפלטרין דילך, ההד בעלוני ממרא עד כאן. Mamre is the name of a place. That's when Abraham had his awakening. Alone Mamre. Mamre comes from the Hebrew word le'amri, to take off. So let's see the translation. However, it said to him. So we are told that Abraham was, when he had his awakening, he was told, do not forget the day when the Chaldeans threw you into the furnace of fire and famine took over the world, as it is written, and there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt. And you smote all those kings that your men pursued, and the Holy One, blessed be He, saved you from them all, so that nobody could do you any harm. So rise and fulfill the precept of your master. The Holy One, blessed be He, said to Mamre, you advised him to perform his covenant. By your life I shall reveal myself to him in your chamber. This is what is written by the Tebarins of Mamre. So this verse is teaching us about the importance of appreciating our miracles in our lives. Because again, when we talk about having a covenant, in Hebrew is milah, brit milah, the covenant of word. It's not the literal.
Circumstance.
It's not about that. We're talking about spiritual covenants with source. So it actually lists different miracles that happened to Abraham. He was saved from the furnace. He was pursued by a lot of people and they wanted to kill him, because he actually awakening people, the understanding there's one force in this reality. And by the way, I think everybody watched here the movie The Matrix. Neo is a code name for one. If you flip the letters, it's one. Neo is one. So the Neo, Abraham is the Neo of his generation. That's why people wanted to kill him. Because he said, listen, there is no these deities that rule us, these powerful kings, because the powerful kings of Sumeria was very vicious, very strong, very powerful, merciless. But he was actually saying, listen guys, there's one source that is governing, there's one force that governs the entire universe. But a lot of things, because of he was stepping up to this realization, his life was in danger. But nevertheless, miracle after miracle after miracle happened to him.
His son.
Huh?
His son.
Yeah,
his wife was very, very old.
He had his son when he was 100 years old, and his wife was like 99 years old. Mm-hmm. So a lot of miracles happened to him. Why? Because when you connect to source, you're above nature, the forces of nature. And I'm sure everybody in this room have at least one miracle that happened to you. In Hebrew, miracle is nes. What does it mean? Miracle, it means above nature. Something completely logical.
Nes, it's also nas.
Nas, to escape, yeah. But nes is the understanding of a miracle is also appreciating. Because the Israelites went through numerous miracles, but they forgot about it. Yeah. So how do you really create a vessel for more miracles? You appreciate them. Because if you don't see miracles in your life, you will never appreciate them. You'll never be satisfied.
Remembering them also.
Remember. So this verse is about really to remember the miracles in our lives. So far, there is some kind of... The fact that you're sitting here, healthy, aware, happy, smiling, that means something is protecting. There's some force that's protecting you. So there's a reason that this force wants you to be happy. It cannot force you to be happy, but the fact that you're here means there's something that's sustaining you. Wants you to be here, to be successful, to be alive, to be happy. So the word mamre, it means to take off. When you have this understanding, you can take off beyond physical reality. That's what the realization of Abraham. So the quality is to appreciate. That's why it's VaYera, it means from awe, the word awe. Have the awe for creation, the awe for the miracles that happened to you so far. I mean, if anybody wants to share some miracle, I would love to hear. I'm sure everybody has at least one miracle to share with us. Okay.
Yeah, I can share.
Yeah, sure.
Back in my 20s, I was traveling and we were in Central America, in Nicaragua, and we went to, just decided to go on rafting, whitewater rafting, and it was me and a friend at the time, and just randomly this guy from Colorado decided to join too. So it was the three of us and the guide, and it was a little more bumpy than we expected, and I fell off the boat. And I was underneath the boat, you know, trying to tumble. And what we learned is that third American guy, he's like an expert whitewater rafter from the Colorado River. and he just put his hand in and swung me out and saved my life.
Wow.
And my friend, she said that the actual local guide, he was like, didn't know what to do. And so it was a miracle that that dude was there.
That's
and
incredible.
saved my life.
Wow.
Angel,
That's a beautiful
yeah.
angel, really. It's like on the right place appeared. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So there you
Wow.
go. Yeah. So it's a great opportunity to also to know that part of our creation is to attract such circumstances. We want to create more miracles for ourselves and for others. So this is really a very, very important realization. So let's move forward. Okay, we're going to go to verse number 45, 46, 47. Anybody have online have questions or watching?
No. Very good.
All right. סתרי תורה. הוא מנותה דמלכה התחזי בתלת גוונין, גוון חד חזו דהתחזה לעינה מרחיק, ועינה להכיל לקיימה בברירו דחזי. בגין דאיהו מרחוק עד דנטל עינה חזו זעיר, בקמיתו דילי, ועל דאקטיב מרחוק אדוני נראה לי. Translation. The authority and the will of the king, which creator or source, namely the Shekhinah, appears in three colors in its reality. And these are the three colors of the eye: the white, the red, and the green in the eye. One color represents the eye's sight from afar, which is the physical sight. At this distance, the eye is unable to clearly visualize what it sees until it achieves partial vision by contracting itself, like when you contract the pupil. Thus it is written, Hashem has appeared from afar to me. This is the secret of the illumination of the central column, as there can be no revelation of the lights without it. I'm going to continue. Gavan tanyan, tinyan, chezu dehai eina, bistimu dilei, dehai gavan la itchazei le'eina, bar bistimu za'er, denakit vela kaima bivriru, סתים עינה ופתח זער, ונקית ההוא חייזו, וגוון דה יצטרך לפתרונה, לקיימה על מה דנקית עינה, ועל דה כתיב מה אתה רואה. The second color represents the eye's sight when the eyes is closed. When you close the eye, you also see some color. This color is seen by the eye only through a slight shutting, and therefore it is not a clear vision. The way to see is by closing the eye and then opening it a little, so you're like squinting your eyes, to thereby receive this sight. Because this vision is not clear, it requires interpretation in order to understand what the eye has perceived. Therefore it is written, what do you see? This is the secret of the illumination of the left column, when the lights are stopped because of the lack of chasadim, the lack of mercy. Continue. Gavant leita'a. הוא זוהר אספקלריה, דלה התחזי בי כלל, בר בגלגולה דעינה, כד איהו סתים בסתימו. ומגלגלין לה בגלגולה, והתחזי בהי גלגולה, אספקלריה דנהרה. ולה הכיל לקיימה, בהוא גוון, בר דחזי זוהר, מנהרה בסתימו דעינה. The third color represents the brilliance of the mirror, which can be seen only when the eye is shut and is rolled backwards, like when you roll your eyes when your eyes is closed, like when you roll your eyes. As a result of this rolling, the shining mirror is seen. This is the secret of the illumination of the right column, but the eye is able to observe this third color only by envisioning the illumination of the brilliance by shutting the eye, which means the second color is included in the first color. So what is this is a beautiful, very powerful verse from the Zohar, because it talks about what it means really to see. We have three types of seeing in this reality. The one we're mostly accustomed is that we see the reflection on the light on objects. So when we open your eyes, what we see is actually the light that hits the object and how it returns to us. Because when we turn off the light, we don't see anything. But the object they're still there. Why we don't see them? Because there is no light to hit the surface. That's the most prominent way for us to see reality, which is what represented by the color, the black, when we squint our eyes, because it's like a shutter of the camera that controls how much light goes through. Okay, that's one way to see that. Now, it's very hard for us to reprogram our vision, because again, like we said, the word Vayera means to see. We're not talking here just to see with physical eyes. We're trained here to see like magicians, because we don't just see with our physical eyes, we cultivate a higher way of seeing reality, which is spiritual vision. That's what it talks about 3 types of colors, 3 types of visions. So it's very hard to unprogram our sight from seeing light and shadow to actually start to see energy. It's interesting how we watched the movie Doctor Strange a few days ago, which is beautiful. It has so much spiritual messages. Amazing movie. And there's a part in the movie, they go inside the mirror, the aspaklaria, they talk about in the Zohar. They go inside the realm of the mirror. And I think it's when you study those texts, you start to understand where they're getting this wisdom from. Because when the Zohar, they talk about the mirror, it's a reality, but it have different. It's kind of you're going through a mirror, because the Kabbalists were able to go into this dimension. I highly recommend to watch this movie because it's very Kabbalistic.
Also,
movie.
they are going to one place to other without the
opening portals.
The opening portals going very, very,
very Kabbalistic movie.
Yeah,
incredible. Beautiful movie.
It's real. Yeah. It's real. It's just science actually discovering that it's already possible. So
Kfitzat haderech in Kabbalah, it means jumping off the road. They say this term also in the Matrix. You're actually able to transfer your physical matter into another dimension, another reality. Nevertheless, it's good to know how to do it, because you might find yourself in a reality, you might be stuck there, or some portal, or some kind of different time and space that is not very pleasant. So it's good to have some kind of a good GPS device that knows how to get out of there too. So what it's teaching us is, in order for us to start seeing beyond the physicality, we need to have a desire. Well, we talk about when you know your purpose, you need to have the desire, because it's I just want to see what I can prove, like science, modern science. They can only believe in what they see with their eyes. But we know that what we see actually with the spectrum of our eyes is very small spectrum, it's very limited. So if you want to have higher way of seeing things beyond the physical eyes, you need to have first of all the desire.
So there's a German scientist, we just saw a video today about him, that he passed away last year in Germany, and he actually left us information that the Vatican, in Rome, they invented a machine.
He invented the machine, but
he
they
invented,
have it.
Oh, they stole it from him.
They actually hold that machine, this actual machine, and this machine actually, they can go in
travel
future.
Time, they can bend time and space.
They travel anytime. They can go to future and come back. Everything, but they have that. They're controlling that, and they have the technology. They don't want to share with people, but the knowledge is already up. The information,
They hold a lot of things that they don't want to do to reveal to humanity, because
doesn't matter.
It's going to happen anyway.
Yes,
like they're hoarding gold. We spoke about gold a few days ago. Gold is actually it's an entity. It has its own consciousness. You cannot control. You can't hoard it. It's like a vine that grows inside the earth. And when people hoarding gold, eventually they cannot do it for a long time, because it have its own energy. It's going to reveal itself, to share itself.
Well, England, the Queen of England, she's holding almost of the gold of the world.
For now, she does, but it's not gonna be forever.
Queen bee.
How are we doing with the time?
We at 15 more minutes.
15 minutes. Okay, let's hurry up a little bit. Okay, verse number 80 and 81. It's going to talk about the law of attraction, according to Kabbalah. Okay, 80 and 81. אמר רבי אבא, יום אחד הערנה בחד מתה, מינון דהבו מן בני קדם, ואמרו לי, מהי חוכמתה דהבו ידעין מיומי קדמאי, בהבו אשכחן ספרין בחוכמתה, דלהון וקריבו לי חד ספרה. Talks about people from the east. והבה כתיב בי, דהה כגוונה דראותה, דברנש יכוון בי בהי עלמה, אחי המשיך עלי רוח מלעילה, כגוונה דההו ראותה, דאית דבק בי. אי ראותי יכוון במילה אילאה קדישה, אי הוא המשיך עלי להאי מילה, Mil ela letata legabei. Translation. Rabbi Abba said, one day I came upon a town that belonged to the children of the East. They shared with me a part of the wisdom that they knew from antiquity. Then they searched for books of their own wisdom and gave me one. Inside this book, it is written that according to the intention of a person's desire in this world, he or she draws a spirit from above upon him or herself, similar to the desire that is clung to. If his or her desire is to achieve something holy and divine, then they draw the same from above and bring it down upon themselves. This is a very important verse about the law of attraction, because what it's teaching us is when we are awakening the desire below, because we know that we cannot draw something from above. When you talk about above, it's not like in the atmosphere, it's from the other realms, in the unseen realms. We cannot draw something from other realms until we cultivate a desire. It cannot be forced to us. However, we can attract certain desires. So what this verse is teaching us is that it's when we cultivate a desire, it is immediately coming from a force from the other dimensions. But also what it tells us that there is a force that is in charge to awaken a desire. For example, when you have a desire to move from point A to B, where is this desire coming from you? When you have a desire to create something. However, what we learn in the Zohar, we want to learn to evaluate our desires, where the desire is coming from. Because some desires may come to us which are not very good desire. When we say not a good desire, it means it's a very selfish desire. So let's say a person says, okay, I want to do something. I want to build a pipeline. I want to put this pipeline across sacred land, and I don't give a shit about what's going to, excuse me for my language. Like some, group of bankers that decide we're going to put a pipeline and we don't care about what's going to happen. So they have desire, but where's this desire coming from, right? The Indians call it the black serpent, right? So this is an example of a certain desire that some people have. It's very selfish because they don't care about how it's going to affect the world of like 18 million Americans. They don't care. It's very selfish. On the other hand, when you have a desire to build solar energy to bring without harming other people, without destroying nature, without killing animals. So what we learn here is like we always want to evaluate our desires, because when it's a desire just for the self alone, when we talk about the left column, just gvura, just about me, that's ra, that's evil, that's not wise. What we learn here, when we have a desire, we want to evaluate, is a desire to receive for the sake of sharing. Like you come up with some product that's going to bring, you can create purified water from, in a lot of millions of people in Africa or in India. So you have a desire to create a product that will bring benefits to millions of people without harming anybody. That's a good desire. So this verse is about really the law of attraction is also not just to know how to attract, but also how to distinguish between your desires. That's what it's about, okay? So if the desire is for selfish reason, like we say, it will draw to us negative energies, which means when a person starts to associate themselves with selfish desires, they're going to start to embody and to incorporate into their energetic field negative entities, selfish desires, constantly, because they start to operate on that frequency. On the other hand, when people start to cultivate higher desires, it means they start to exercise more the principle of restriction. So let's say you feel like I have the desire to do something right now. You said, hold on 1 second. Why restriction is important? Because you are cultivating basically discipline. Discipline to evaluate what you want, and you start to ask yourself, what purpose is what I want right now? Okay? Like if you wake up in the morning and say, I want to be a millionaire. Great. Billionaire, even better. Okay, for what purpose? A lot of people want to make money. It's a wonderful thing to make money. The question is for what purpose? Like I said in previous classes, one person came to our teacher and said, I want to be immortal. Great, for what purpose? Because I want to be immortal. Who cares, right? If you want to be immortal because, let's say you want to do great things for humanity, maybe you want to teach other people how to have more life force, whatever reason. So
there are few mortals in our world, but they are hiding. They don't teach humanity because they're afraid.
Or they're just selfish. They're simply selfish. Maybe
yeah,
too.
but
That's could be too. I'm not saying that's the reason,
Yeah.
but there's many reasons. But always, whatever desire you have, the highest desire, always you have to evaluate for what purpose. And how do you evaluate? Is that for the self alone, or is that for the sake of sharing? That's what Abraham. That's the download of Abraham. The software we're receiving here, to learn to receive for the sake of sharing, which is the wise choice. The selfish choice, it's not a very good idea, unless it's a choice. Still,
Some people
it's a
don't
free
care
will.
because they want it now, so it's
Exactly.
okay.
People go to Hollywood. They want to be very famous. Fine, but for what purpose? Because they want people to worship them. That's very selfish.
Wow.
If you want people to worship you,
Some people don't care to be selfish.
they don't care. But
Yeah.
there's always the payback. Always
Sure.
the payback. Because we're here to learn what's our purpose here. Our purpose is not to be worshipped, because this is not what we're created for. If you want to worship something, appreciate source, appreciate creation, but not from a place of like worshiping. Appreciate it, enjoy it, share it with others. That's very simple. Okay, let's move. We have a couple more. Verse number. So again, law of attraction is. We're hearing here some very powerful tools to utilize this power to attract, but with awareness and awareness, to learning with the column system. Okay, verse 120, 128.
That's why lots of businesses today, they are established on sacred commerce, spiritual businesses. People do make money, but they create businesses with very, very high integrity.
Which means they benefit a lot of people.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. First of all, the people who work together and, who they serve, and they're very successful. It's automatically,
Even in the corporation system, in the registration, there's Corporation B,
Yes.
which is kind of like a statement of commitment of stewardship
Stewardship, that's the word, yeah.
through the business.
Mm.
It's also establishes a very effective connection to abundance, because when we become that channel, there is no limit how much the corporation or the company can receive, because the more we share, the more we can receive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you. It's a stewardship. It's a great word. Okay, 128. שמעו ההוא כלה דאמר סתרה סתרה כמייתה וכילו לעילה דה דינה דשמיא לה אשרי הכה דה ידעי לבטלה לי חלש ליבי דרבי הכה ידמוך שמה דאמרי לי כד עבדת דה עבד דה זיל ואימה לון דהחזרון בתשובה דחייבין אינון כמי קם ואחזר להו בתשובה שלמתה וקבילו עליהו דלה התבטלון מאורייתה לעלם והחליפו שמה דקרתה וקרון לה מעתה מחסיה. They heard a voice said, secrets, primary secrets have been sweetened above, for the judgment of heaven does not apply here, because people know how to cancel the judgment. Rabbi Acha's heart became faint, and he fell asleep. He heard them say to him, as you have done this, go and tell them to repent, because they have sinned before me. He woke up and made them repent and atone completely for their deeds. And they took it upon themselves never to cease studying the wisdom of the Torah. And they changed the name of the village to Mata Machseya, the village of mercy. Because the Holy One, blessed be He, showed mercy towards the village. This is a very, very powerful verse, because it talks about a few things. First of all, in this verse talks about our ability to remove judgments from our lives, from our community, from our world. In this portion of Vayera, we have the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah was consumed by fire. Why it's consumed by fire? They came up with a law in Sodom and Gomorrah that you cannot give charity, you cannot help poor people. Why this energy brought them destruction? Because they basically, what they did, they eliminated the right column energy. So the entire place where they live was based on judgment. So when people live in this kind of reality, they bring judgment to themselves in the form of fire. Okay? Now, Abraham represents the opportunity, because he had opportunity to save them from judgment. He was arguing with source. Okay, what if we have 45, 50 righteous people? Will you destroy? No. They couldn't find. Okay, what if we have 45, we have 10? When they reached 10, they couldn't find 10 people, and then he stopped. There was no 10 people, righteous people, so the entire place was burned. But what he's teaching us, first of all, Abraham was able to he could plea to save this place from judgment. If he would really, like Moses, for example, his entire people were about to be destroyed. He said to Source, listen, if you destroy them, because they were going into a very negative judgment with their actions, they were worshipping idols, completely disconnected from Source. He said, listen, if you destroy them, first of all, what would the other nations would speak about? What kind of creator are you? You're destroying your people. The second thing, if you destroy them, you erase me from your book. I'm not part of this deal. So Source said, okay, fine, I'm not going to destroy them. So the message is that each and every one of us, we can identify judgments, and it means that we can take proactive actions. Like, for example, what's going on right now as a result of the elections, we can see like very negative judgments emanating because of the way people treat this new election. What's going on in America, said, oh, this place is bad, it's going to be destroyed, America is da-da-da-da-da. This is not the way to sweeten judgments. It actually brings judgment even faster. On the other hand, there's a lot of people who actually were praying after the election. Said, listen, we pray for peace. We pray for mercy. We want this to be a merciful time, not a judgmental time, especially now in the time of Scorpio. There is reason why the election happened in the month of Scorpio. Because this is energy that actually, if you utilize in the wrong way, can completely subdue people, control them, and bring a lot of negativities. So, but we are here with the tools of Kabbalah, we're actually transmitting the energy in a positive way. So that's how you see, yes?
What about the pro-Trump people that are walking around spraying swastika and calling people faggots on the street and, you know, threatening people's lives?
There's always what we call the mixed multitude. The people are less than evolved. Like Guru Singh was showing a map that shows that 2/3 of humanity are like that. It compares that to the birth canal. So the awakened people are the only 3% of humanity, and there is another 10% that are like closer to awakening. So we are actually 13% of humanity, which he said about 900 million people on the planet. There's about 900,000 people who are close to be awakening or awakened. So it's our job.
Not even 1 billion.
No.
Almost billion, almost 13%. But the 3% are really the critical mass. So you cannot blame a baby that is still in the mother's womb, because that's where they are on the evolution scale.
Yeah, they are not evolved.
You cannot. You see.
Yeah.
So he shows a beautiful map. There's like a birth canal, and it's a beautiful video. So these are people that are not awakened, and our job is instead of judging them, we actually are making them even worse by judging and saying these are people are bad or stupid. We shouldn't accept that, but we should understand that they're on a certain level.
Our job is to be light for them.
Exactly.
They are in the darkness, to come and say, just sometimes to be who we need to be.
Yeah.
Compassion.
Compassion,
And
but
in this energy of them taking like so much action, they're putting themselves in the light, showing themselves to be evil, and that can be a gift to those that are awakened, so that they can see and show people that aren't awakened. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're just out there, just showing it off. It's like, hey, thanks. I don't have to just explain. He's showing it right there.
Exactly. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. So, this verse is really about how we can be a proactive source in this reality. That's what we're here for: to be proactive transmuters of energy, to turn bitter into sweet. Because if everything is sweet in this reality, there's no work for us to do. So we're here to transmute that. This is what we are here for. And it's interesting because it talks about the changing name of the city, right? Interesting enough, because of the elections, some cities declare themselves as refuge cities. Have you heard about that? Mm-hmm. Like I think Chicago and other cities. Portland.
What do you mean?
They declare themselves, because there's a lot of people here right now, maybe they're going to be minorities, they're going to be a threat because of some crazy people that are becoming like racist, etc. So they say that they're going to become refuge cities.
Oh, Canada said, yeah.
So it's another sign for you to see. The idea of refuge cities is actually also from the Zohar. It's been in Israel those days. There were refuge cities for different purposes. But this definition is actually a very powerful term. And the fact that there's certain places that are stepping up to that, it's a beautiful sign. So that's great. So let's read one more before we close the class. 167. דתנינן בשעתה דקודשא בריחו רחם לברנש משדר דורונה ומן איהו מסכנה בגין דהזכה בי, בכיוון דזכה בי, איהו אמשיך עלי, חד חוטא דחסד, דהתמשך מסתר ימינה, ופריש הרשי ורשים לי, בגין דחד יתי דינה לעלמה, ההוא מחבלה, הזדהר בי, וזקף עינוי וחמה להוא רשימו וכדן, הסתלק מיני, והזדהר בי, בגיני כך אקדים לי קודשא בריחו במה דהזכה. This corresponds to what we have learned. When the Holy One, blessed be He, loves a person, He sends him a present. And what is that present? It is a poor man for whom He can perform a meritorious act. So now that he is meritorious and deserving, the Holy One, blessed be He, draws a cord of grace from the right side, which is the mercy upon him. He winds the cord around his head and marks him, so that when the judgment falls on the world, the angel of destruction will take notice of him and will not hurt him. Because he raises his eyes and notices that mark, he avoids him. This is why the Holy One, blessed be He, arranged beforehand to make him meritorious. First of all, God source loves everybody. It's not like He loves some people, doesn't love other people. When He said loves, it talks about the importance of our merit to do action of tzedakah. Tzedakah in Hebrew means righteous acts. And He says He sends a poor person. Oftentimes, we say, actually, there's a phrase in the Kabbalah says, tzedakah tatzil mimavet. An act of righteousness will save us from death. This is what it means, which means many times the universe sends us an opportunity to do an act of mercy, because when we do that, we connect to the right column of mercy. So even if we are, God forbid, in a situation, there is like an earthquake, God forbid, or there's some very harsh judgment happening, we're protected. So doing acts of charity actually shields us, creates a shield of protection. That's what it's teaching us, okay? Now, another thing is also, so there's opportunities that comes to us, like maybe in the street, etc. But also, doing good for others often requires pressure. It doesn't happen always in a comfortable environment. Sometimes it's not very comfortable to do acts of sharing. So when that happens, it's also good to realize the opportunity. Maybe it's a little bit pulling us out of our comfort zone. And if we see we're in a reality that there is no opportunity for sharing, we have to generate that. We have to get off the comfort zone and find opportunity. Where can we do some act of sharing? Look for that. Like that's what Abraham was doing actually. He was, if no guests would come to him, he would go nuts. He would actually go and look for guests because he wants to connect to the energy of mercy. Because he knows the power. It's sustaining our life. Acts of mercy and compassion and sharing. So what it's teaching us, we must learn to generate on our own that ability. In going out of our comfort zone, going outside of ourselves towards others. So I think we live in a community. There was always opportunities for that. Whatever our talents, our gifts, whether we can share our time, maybe go visit a sick person, maybe go donate some time, maybe do a class, maybe do healing, whatever it is. This is what it means to be like Abraham. That's the code name of Abraham, of sharing. Yes?
That reminds me of this woman, I forgot her name. That was years ago. That she wrote a book. She was sick. She had cancer, and she healed herself. And part of her practice was that she came up with was a 29-day gifting challenge, right? Giving. So every day for 29 days, you give something. It can be a bus ticket. It can be a smile. A hug if someone asks you for advice, or money to a homeless, a meal, whatever. You give something that day and you can log that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of to create that. Reminds me of what you just said.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is also part of how the Israelites in Persia, they were able to remove very harsh judgment because they were the king of that time wanted to execute all the Israelites in the kingdom. How they remove the judgment? They were fasting for 3 days, and they were sharing gifts.
Yeah, bringing gifts to each other. Yeah.
Bringing gifts, it's a very powerful way to generate mercy and creating protection. And fasting actually also helps because the whole process of digestion also brings a lot of can create judgment in the body. It doesn't matter what we eat, but when we restrict the food and we are in acts of sharing towards each other, it's a very powerful way to create mercy in our lives. So thank you everybody for being here, and may the force be with you. See you next week.
May the forest be with you.
And the source be with you. Yeah.